Hello there. What is going on, everybody? Today, I am bringing to you a Kickstarter showcase. This is basically just me kind of bringing you a little bit of focus on a few current Kickstarters, actually, and a few previous ones that I think may still be open for late pledging. So, and a lot of people have asked me to do this periodically, and this is something I'm doing once in a while. It's actually a little bit of a slower month for Kickstarters. I know a couple were supposed to have launched last month. A lot of things have been delayed due to COVID-19. And, I think with like stimulus kind of starting to show up right now, people have a lot more, or I should say a little bit more disposable income, and maybe they're looking at like, okay, maybe this is a good time to relaunch. So there's been actually a couple of really interesting Kickstarters that have been showing up right now. So I just wanted to run through a few of them and talk about some that have caught my interest. If you guys are new to this channel, I primarily cover tabletop miniatures games heavily focused on Star Wars. Tabletop miniatures games, of which there are several, and they're amazing. But due to that, I tend to be more attracted to games with very attractive components. I'm not usually a big fan of little wooden cubes. I'm a big fan of beautiful games. I don't always like Euro games, but I do like some, like Scythe, for example. I fell in love with Scythe because even though it's Euro, it's like got really, really nice components. So like the more pretty a game is, the more I'm interested in it. And of course, I'm also a sucker for certain IP-based games, which actually brings me to the first one I want to talk about, Marvel United. This one looks like a very simple game. It's from CMON, and I think they pronounce themselves Come On now, but I just can't really bring myself to say that because it sounds like I'm saying, come on, man, pack it. So I can't do that. But so I'm going to call them CMON for the rest of this video. But they're really cool. With this particular game, it looks very simple. I'm not gonna lie, it looks really simple. It looks kind of cheap too. I mean, well, cheap might be the wrong word. Not normally crazy expensive. Now, I did pledge at this $190 value, which was like everything, right? But they have like a $60 pledge for like the base game and stretch goals, and like that's super, super cheap. I wanted to get everything for this one because, hey, you know what? Me and the kids in the family, we love all the Marvel movies. The kids are into it. I'm into it. I think it's something we can play together. I just wanted to get like everything for this game. And I think this level is like, and that's, although I gotta be honest, that's kind of par for the course for CMON games. Like they usually they have a $100 base game and then like an extra $100 or $200 in optional buys and stuff like that. For most of their Kickstarters, like their zombie sides and their minis and stuff. And CMON, it used to be cool mini or not, and they used to have they have this website and you paint your minis and put them up there and people vote up or down or whatever. And it's like voting on if you have a cool mini or not. And I think there actually is, I'm pretty sure that's actually still a website. But this looks like a very simple kind of game where you have cards set up in this circular pattern, and there's heroes and villains, and you can change out the heroes and you can change out the villains that you go up against. And the gameplay isn't exceedingly complicated. It looks like it's actually very simple gameplay, be good to play with the family. And a lot of people actually were asking me if I was backing this game when it was still running. It is available for late pledge right now. And so this was one that I was kind of nuts about because I'm like, all right, I got to get it. It doesn't look like it's super complicated. It looks real light and simple. And I did also, I'm probably going to get the playmat for this one because that playmat is going to help you kind of place, because you have to put the cards in a circle. And I just imagine without the playmat, I'm going to be like, all right, let me put the cards in the circle. Oh, I didn't make my circle wide enough. So having the guide of where to put stuff in a circular fashion, I think is going to be helpful. That's Marvel United. I'm going to jump to Awaken Realms, one of my favorite companies for making board games. And they actually came out with a Great Wall a couple of months ago. And this one, I'm not sure if this one is still available for late pledge or not, but this one is both basically a Euro game, and it has cardboard, it has wooden components, like wooden meeples, but also has miniatures, and you can do it in either version, which is kind of cool. And like obviously the wood, if you want to get the wood version, the little more Euro kind of familiar version, it's with the meeples, it's going to be cheaper than if you want to get it with the miniatures. But I went and got this one with the miniatures, and so this one I'm actually really excited about. I'm not going to lie to you, I have no idea how you play this game. I didn't watch a whole lot of the gameplay. I just saw Awaken Realms, and I looked at that board and said, that's beautiful. I've got to have that. And I trust Awaken Realms enough to think that this is going to be a great game when it shows up. So, and I want it also to be fresh when it shows up too. And I know, like, sometimes when you look at, like, the early Kickstarter, like, hey, here's our prototype and here's how it plays, there are sometimes rules changes that happen between them then and when production is finalized, because sometimes there's proofreading, sometimes there's some play testing for expansions that are developed during the Kickstarter, and sometimes things change. So this way, when it shows up, I'll be diving into it for the first time, and I'll be sure to bring you guys some video content of Great Wall when this does come out. All right, so now on to new stuff. Well, I say new stuff. I'm going to start off with an oldie that's coming back with more. So Cloudspire. Cloudspire is a game... Okay. I saw this one on Kickstarter, I want to say 2 years ago-ish, somewhere about that. It's coming back, but it's got expansions, and it's a reprint. So if you ever want to get Cloudspire, this is your opportunity. This one is only got 5 days left. So, well, probably 4 days left now because I'm recording this beforehand, but not much time left on this game. But it's got hexes. It's basically kind of like a tower defense or like a MOBA style game where there's towers and you're playing against the other person and you're sending your stuff against them. But it uses discs, kind of like poker chips. But all of the components are really, really pretty, and the artwork on this is really, really pretty, and it's just got such a beautiful table presence. I saw this at Gen Con, and they were sold out at Gen Con either last year or the year before. I think it was last year, and I wanted to get a copy, and then like that very last day, as they were closing up, they had a couple copies, I guess, that were like unclaimed or something changed at the last minute, and but I didn't have room in my luggage, so I'm like, I just can't do it right now, guys. Sorry. And this is an opportunity for you to get Cloudspire, and it looks really cool. I don't know much about this one because I didn't get the chance to actually get the demo at Gen Con. But I wanted to play it a little bit more, but there's a whole lot of game here that you can pledge for a lot of this stuff. But yeah, it's definitely something I think you might want to check out. Next up is Wolfenstein. This one you may have already seen. I did a video on Wolfenstein from Archon Games, and this is coming to the board game version of it with really, really good minis, awesome looking minis, a lot of stretch goals, expansions. One really cool thing that they're doing here is it's got this AI system. So this one's going to be a co-op. Not a lot of people are into co-ops, and I get that. But you can also play it solo. This time, like the whole time that we're in right now, is a really good reminder of like the value of soloable games. Yeah, this is a good thing for that. And with co-ops, too, you could always do this one of these deals where you set up like a webcam above and then you're playing with your friends via Skype or something like that. That can always work, too. But yeah, so but one of the cool things they're doing about this is that with their corridors and stuff, they're going to have an option where you can get like the basically the plastic walls and stuff, so you can really immersify yourself in this. You don't just have to go with the cardboard cutouts for your scenery, but you can actually get your terrain here, and instead of just the doors. But yeah, if you haven't already seen my video for Wolfenstein, I go a lot more into it. But there's a lot more that that's coming out with this Kickstarter than I even talked about in my video. So it looks very, very cool. All right, that's Wolfenstein. We're going to jump to a really big one that I'm very much excited about, and that's Ankh from CMON. Ankh is going to be like game of the year, possibly. Basically, Ankh is the third game in a line of games that aren't directly like related outside of just kind of the series of thought. Blood Rage was the first one. Blood Rage was one of the biggest games of all time when it came out. It's a fun game. I finally actually got it a few months ago. It was a really enjoyable game. Then Rising Sun came out, which was the spiritual successor to Blood Rage. Plays differently. It's a different game. It doesn't make the other one obsolete. And I love Rising Sun. Rising Sun is one of my top 5 games of all time. I always love the opportunity to play Rising Sun. Very strategic, very strategic. Not nearly as random. Not like no dice, and not a whole lot of randomness in here. But there is some, unknowns, and that's what the cat and mouse game you play with your opponent. But then, and that's kind of what this is they're basically area control games. Those other two, and Ankh is the third game in this particular series, where you're actually, instead of playing as like a faction or a region or a nationality or something like that, you're actually playing as a god, and you're picking the different gods from Egypt, and they all have different strengths and powers. And then of course there are also creatures that you can, and that's something else all of these games have in common. Well, you pick a god, and you have like their army, I guess you could say, their minis that go with them. You can also recruit creatures that are going to help you out, and there's asymmetric powers, and this one looks like it's got a lot in common with Blood Rage and Rising Sun, but a lot of new abilities as well. For example, like the board changes halfway through the game, and so like there's a whole lot more to it. I haven't read all of the rules to this game, and I don't need to. It's an Eric Lang game. It's probably going to be like one of the greatest games of all time. That's just my guess. Either way, the other two that are in this line were absolutely stellar and were so good enough that I insta-backed this one on faith alone. But it does look really cool, and it's got the cardboard components. There's more stretch goals unlocking all the time, and it's doing really, really well, especially during this time period where I wasn't sure if this was the best time to launch a Kickstarter. But so definitely check out Ankh. And the last game I'm going to talk about, you probably already heard of, Frosthaven, which is the sequel to Gloomhaven. Frosthaven is, I guess I'll talk more about Gloomhaven, but Frosthaven is basically the sequel, and it's just the snow version, right? But it's basically, like, Gloomhaven was this epic dungeon crawl that, like, think Imperial Assault, if you guys are Star Wars fans, right? This epic dungeon crawl campaign type game. And you get your friends, you set up a campaign, but there's so much to this game, and there's a lot of decisions, and there's this huge campaign and narrative aspect to this where, different decisions have impacts that, real impacts that show up later on in the campaign. And it's been extremely well received. Gloomhaven was one of the greatest games, like one of the highest selling games of all time. And this one is in the millions so far raised, with time to spare. So Frosthaven is going to be one of those games that, if you like campaign type games, you don't want to miss. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not backing this one. I'm personally not really into campaign-based games, and that just has to do with my schedule and my lack of availability to commit to any type of campaign. I personally prefer one-shot games where I'm just going to play it one time and then I'm done. And if we want to play again sometime, we'll play the exact same game, and I'll just choose a different strategy the second time through, like just regular board games, right? I don't like games where you have to commit to, like, all right, we're going to try and meet up like every Tuesday, right? We're going to, I'm like, no, I can't really do much of that. And when I can, it's probably a role-playing game. It's probably like Dungeons and Dragons or Star Wars RPG or something like that. So I really have a hard time with the campaign-based games. They usually just don't work for me. But Frosthaven, another thing that Frosthaven has going for it that's really, really cool is they have a pledge level where you can get, here, let me show you, the Broken Token has made an organizer for this game. Now, the Gloomhaven box was huge. It was like you could fit two babies in this box and have maybe room for a third. It was like absolutely insane. So the Broken Token, I have their page open right now. They have this awesome basically insert that is going to go into this game and help you organize it, because that's one of the problems with bigger board games, is that you get so many components, it just becomes a nightmare to just set them up. And some game companies will send, come up with like games. I got a game one time I was really excited about, and everything was just thrown in the box, and it was shipped that way. I'm like, what are you guys thinking? So ever since the Broken Token has come out, they've come up with these amazing organizers. And so, and I have their site open also to kind of showcase just a little bit. If you've seen some of my recent videos where I've been doing a little bit of, I've done some of them live streams, some of them on Facebook also, where I've been doing a lot of painting during the downtime. They've got these paint racks, and I have a lot of these paint racks. I have them for the large Citadel pots and also for the squirt bottles. I have both sizes. They go together. They're modular. You can build a whole system from them. They've got zombie side stuff. They've got look, they've got a ridiculous amount of different organizers. They like browse by game. You can like they got this awesome scythe organizer, and for a lot of the big games that require a lot of stuff. You may have seen I've done reviews of like the Rising Sun organizer. Sometimes a game has got so many stretch goals and Kickstarter things that it just doesn't fit in the box. Well, in some cases they make the whole box. So they have just an amazing selection of games that they have different components for. They also have terrain if you're looking to get some wood or even 3D printed terrain for your tabletop miniatures games. They have all kinds of stuff like that. So really, really great stuff. I've got a lot of their products. Also, their Twilight Imperium organizer has been a real treat with making TI4 games so much faster to go. So a big fan of the Broken Tokens stuff, and I just thought I would give them a shout out. And they have a new program going on right now too, where there is basically this Tokens of Appreciation program where you are able to get extra tokens, extra points based off of what you buy, and other things. You can get bonuses, and you can cash those in for gift cards and discounts and stuff like that. So, but check out thebrokentoken.com, and I'm going to put links to all of the sites that we've looked at in the description below, so you can check them out yourself. But I definitely, if you don't like any of the games, maybe check out the Broken Token. They might have organizers and accessories for the games that you already do have. And there's nothing like pulling a game out and having this awesome organizer to just make you love it that much more, and it's that much easier to set up. All right, guys. Well, that is all I've got for you today. I want to thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Big thanks to the patrons on Patreon. You guys are amazing and definitely help make this channel possible. So thank you for your continued support. And as always, have a great day.